So traditional stories, and I'm just creating a definition to help structure this. I think there's a lot of argument that people can make about these definitions, but we'll just go with it for the purpose of this panel. So this is an account of incidents or events where a narrative is an individual's perspective of those incidents or events, and we'll get into authorship a bit later on. For this panel, I'm using time-based representations of character and action in which a reader can affect, choose, or change the plot, and opinion and perspective become inherent in the pieces. So you're kind of seeing a range here, a very simple range from passive to completely free-form interactive, and video games might be a good example of that complete free-form structure. One of the things that I like to explain is that it starts to get, not that traditional stories aren't complicated to create, but it does sort of create a much more complicated system for building satisfying stories as we get more into the free-form structure. So I wanted to kick off an example, and I'll just talk about an experience that I had first. So my company, Secret Location, launched about a year and a half ago, and I was leaving another company as a head of production, and I wasn't able to take my work with us. So what we did is we needed to create a portfolio piece that spoke to our capabilities and our interests, and think of it as a portfolio piece for our company. So we created an interactive narrative based around creating our own brand, essentially. So what happens in the film is you get to this site, and it's full-frame video. It starts off in a mysterious way. A guy gets a card on his desk, and he sees this woman pass by his door. He starts following her. There are choice points in the story where you're allowed to select different ways that you can have that story and experience the story. What you're seeing right now is that we actually used the narrative and the story to allow people to kick into the portfolio. So they're digging deeper through the story. The site has garnered us a lot of awards, and in the first 3 months we pushed about 150,000 people through the site with little or no formal promotion other than submitting it to awards and other sort of industry bloggers and mavens. And what we tried to do was to create and use the story as a way for us to explain who we were, and the results were really surprising to us. One of the other things that happened was, as you can see in the video, we put a phone number at the bottom of the screen, right there, because we were interested in seeing how many people would call. And we had about 15,000 people call over 3 months, which was really annoying. But it was also really interesting because a lot of people, and the majority of people, would just hang up because they were so freaked out that someone would pick up the phone on the other end.
I did that. I called you and hung up.
Yeah. But I ended up getting into some conversations with people that were really, really interesting. And what happened is that through the 150,000 people and the blogs and awards that it got posted on, we actually got a ton of work out of it for our company. So when I talk about audience and monetizing, one of the things I'll mention later is just how you don't necessarily have to think of interactive stories as a one-to-one, we put it out there, someone pays for it in direct cash, but how it can be used to create a market or a brand or a level of experience for the creators that they can use to leverage that to get sponsorship or advertising or budget to produce these kinds of things in future. And we've specifically had people come to us and ask to do very similar stories. We've used this to leverage our experience in this space to create stories that are completely separate. And I was trying to put a dollar value to it. It's really hard to put an exact dollar value, but I think probably in the last year and a half, it would be somewhere in around the range, job-wise, of between $300,000 and $400,000 of work that we've processed as a direct result of the site. And we produce the site, I don't really want to say how much we produced it for about $12,000 all in, up at the front of our company. And that was a big investment for us, considering that we really didn't have a lot of money up front to do this, but we invested in our brand because we believed that this would garner the results that we thought we were trying to achieve long term. So
ROI for you, right?
yeah, Yeah, it's been great. And I mean, one of the discussions that we got into earlier was, is it an effective site for what we're trying to do as a portfolio piece? And I think it is on the one hand, and I don't think it is on another hand. If you go to the site and check it out, it's not great for getting you through to our other work. When we started the company, we didn't have a lot of other work to show, so that worked really well for us because it kind of hid that fact. But now it's not really getting people through to where we want to be. So I think within 6 months we'll probably redevelop the site either and turn it into something that's more effective for getting it to work, or completely redevelop the site. But one of the things that we're really focused on is, if we do redevelop the site, what we're going to try and do is do something in a similar vein that can be sort of the next step of this and allow for that brand evolution for us, without just creating something completely different and separate.